Hi, this is Bobby Rempe from Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to Barbecue Central.
From my heart and from my hand, why don't people understand my intention?
Happy to have you aboard here for the Really Big Barbecue Show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan. So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the Charbono, dude!
Succulent fish! What?
He ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Lavernius, shake a face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
You could use it to fight off creeping marauders looking to take your steaks off your grills.
I just like being anywhere with Junior, Senior, and Diva.
Sounds like a whole other type of movie.
Wow. Yeah, really. Keep it hot, keep it clean, keep it lubricated.
We have top men working on it right now. Who? Top men.
All right, gang, 4 after, and it's the After Dark segment. How about that? Just like that. Just like that. Damn right. Thanks my good friend Harry Carey for hosting the 4-segment free-for-all that was very unsuccessful, by the way. Hey, sometimes it happens. These questions are very, very difficult. They're here to trick and hinder your winning chances. Evidently, unbeknownst to me, there's a State of the Union address going on for this country. Oh, you see? Why does it... I think after 25 times of that happening to me, that I would figure that out. Anyway, evidently, there's a State of the Union address going on. This is still going on. It's 10:04 Eastern Standard Time. Hey, you might be wondering what's going on here in regards to the second hour. Well, I can tell you. How about a little Randy White? The Manster, Randy White. I got to print his questions off, actually. I even took the time to prepare, which, I'm not going to say is out of character for me. I always like to think I'm putting my best foot forward when it comes to my questions and my fans and all that good stuff. So let me quickly print this off. And is this right? How the hell do you even do this? I don't know. What the hell? Just print, goddammit. So we do have the NFL Hall of Famer, Randy White, coming up. Oh, you know what? Sometimes it just doesn't need to be that hard. Just doesn't. All right. That's fine. I'll just do it like this. I can adapt to any and all conditions regardless. To the people telling me they're going to send me McRibs, just send them. Go ahead. See how long they make it. Besides, never. I'll throw them right out, I swear to God. McRibs, the most hideous thing ever on the face of the earth is the McRib, I believe. Nothing is worse than McRib. I've been known to go on and on about my just hatred and discontent for said product. I don't even know if you can actually say rib. Can you find rib part of it? I don't know. That's right, Don G. McCrap, I call it McPoop sandwich. That's what it is. McPoop. Wait for McClams for my... Oh, that's so good. So there's State of the Union address going on. I don't know if that's actually going on. Let me scroll up here a little bit and see what's happening. State of the Union address is... probably a good thing to watch. Granted, if you're going to schedule it on a Tuesday around 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time and you happen to like barbecue and you happen to like grilling, you might have to DVR the State of the Union address for the country. But we don't have to wait for is the State of the Union address for the Barbecue Central radio show. That's right. This will come to order. The State of the Union of the Barbecue Central radio show will come to order. All right, thank you. What's more annoying than watching the president talk for about 6 man, I don't even know what is it, 3 minutes at a clip, and then you get the standing ovation. It's like the most annoying thing ever on the face of the earth. The dude could sneeze and pick his nose, and they'll give him a standing ovation. And I thought it would be worthwhile, in keeping with what's happening here on this day, the day of the State of the Union, that we take a look, a more in-depth look, at least for the next 20 minutes or so, at the show. State of the Barbecue Central Radio Show Network address. First of all, first and foremost, let me thank my constituents. Let me thank the Centralites. Let me thank those that tune in to the live show weekend in, like I'm talking about competition. Every Tuesday, you tune in week in and week out, and I certainly appreciate the fact that you're, really, think about what you're doing. And I'm going to eliminate a certain faction of you, not because I don't think you're necessarily as deserving to be recognized here on the broad platform of the Barbecue Central Radio Network airwaves. But, these smartphones, if you will, you have the iPhone, you have the Blackberries, you have the Windows 7 phones, you have the Palms, and the list goes on. And believe me, here in a couple months, with fourth generation coming out, there's going to be a lot more phones to have to choose from and have to evaluate as far as what you're going to be looking at. Just aside from carriers, we won't even get into that and why you should choose AT&T and me over every other crappy network out there. But nevertheless, people on iTunes or the iPhones can actually go to my website on the Safari Explorer and just hit the QuickTime icon that you see if you were just at your home computer, and bang, they're streaming the show right on the phone. So that's great. It's mobile. It's right there. You can always have it. You can always have it. You can put in earphones. You can stream it in your car if you have the auxiliary thing. And I certainly appreciate it. But for the people that would be more like myself, that would probably go to a computer at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday and then type in a website and then have to click on an additional icon to actually launch the stream, or for the people that continue, it fascinates me that that people would want to see me actually talk into a microphone, probably because you want to see my face and the reactions that I make, because it's quite a hideous face, and the reactions can make it even more hideous or comical depending on what your sense of humor is like. But for the people that are actually going and doing all of those steps to get internet radio, and then it goes crazily more into like niches and subcultures. We're doing this for, what are we doing this for? It's for barbecue and grilling. We all have this desire and this passion to learn about it and to hear about it and get different takes and get different opinions and get life experience from people that are out there doing what we love to do, whether it be like super niched out or hyper regionalized or whatever the case may be. You guys are showing up week after week. And there's two separate types of numbers that I think it's important to get out there to you guys. We have what I call the live listenership numbers, and then we have downloads every month, because this show is recorded every week, as you probably know, and then I upload it to the server, and then it goes out to various podcast directories. Of course, the show is on iTunes. If you didn't know that, you can go to the podcast section, and then you can search the Barbecue Central Radio Show, and you will see that nice logo that Brian Knox made for me. Then it says Barbecue Central Radio Show, and you can subscribe, and it is the whole history of every single show that I've done live since 2007? We're almost into the live show for 3 years. In February 7th, it'll be 3 years that I've been doing the live show here on the inner tubes. Before that, it was just a podcast. There is the Barbecue for You show, or maybe it's called the Barbecue Central show, that has a caricature of a guy. It's like a little cartoon, and he's got his hand on a cooker and his hand on a computer. And those were like one of the ones from way back. They were all original. They were all like pre-recorded stuff. It wasn't live kind of as it happens like it does now. You would notice that sometimes on interviews, we get off into a different direction than I even thought we were going to go in. But look, it's just how it's evolving. It's all organic here on the live show. So if you didn't know the show's on iTunes, there's two existing shows on iTunes. There's the very old Barbecue Central podcast, and then, of course, the continuous archives of the Barbecue Central Radio Show, and that goes up typically within hours, at least by 7, 8 o'clock the next morning, the podcast feed updates, and you have access to the show. Because, look, I realize the vast majority, and as soon as I lay these numbers out for you, you'll see what I'm talking about. Don G, even the ones from the bar, love to do the bar ones, love location. So we have live listenership numbers, and that's what I want to share with you right now. The live listenership numbers vary week to week, vary depending on what time of year it is, vary on who the guest is going to be, and whatever free time. But there's a core group of Centralites that tune into the show and listen every week, live and in person. And that number is what I call the live connections, because I can only go off of what I term as a live connection, because if you're listening to it with you and a significant other or 3 members of your family, I can't tell that there are 3 or 4 people listening in on that one computer. It only shows me one connection in. So if a real radio station decided that they wanted to go ahead and pick up the show for an hour because they have no programming and they want to fill it, I could potentially be broadcasting to tens of thousands of people depending on the market. So with all that being said, the number that continues to show up with at least some type of frequency and regularity is a live connection of 50, between 50 and 65 to 70. That's the typical number that I'm seeing on any given week. Now, typically I'll just double that number, and at least I can get a good idea of how many people might be listening to the show. And it certainly is an abysmal number to think that, maybe it's 100 people or 150 people. The last couple times that I've had Rod Gray on just by himself to interview him, he's actually pegged out my maximum number of connections allotment, which is 150. So if I double that number, well, then it's 300 people. I mean, it's really not a lot of people listening to the show live, I guess. But when you think about what we're talking about and the niche that we're talking about, the community we're serving, to me, that makes it a little bit more digestible. Of course, I would like to think I have thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people listening to the live show every Tuesday. But look, I'm realistic. I understand that it's kind of a chore to get your ass in front of a computer and then sit down and listen for longer than 15 minutes. I mean, you really got to like this stuff. Really got to like this stuff to sit here and bother with me for 2 hours out of your Tuesday. So I certainly appreciate that. And I do want to make special mention, and I do want to give special thanks to all the people that are doing it live. Not to discount the people that are doing it during the podcast, because look, it's inherently more convenient for somebody to subscribe to the iTunes feed, dock it up once or twice a week, and magically through the connections and tubes of the internet, the show updates all by itself. I have no idea how that happens, but it certainly does. And now this person has the latest edition of whatever the Barbecue Central radio show episode was, and maybe they're flying on a plane, or maybe they are driving 3 or 4 hours to some work location, and instead of listening to the radio, they plug the show and they listen to me. They listen to me? What? These guys would be driving off the road, falling asleep. Ridiculous. These are the fans that we have. These are the fans that are listening to the show that have, it just continues to marvel me, the amount of people that are actually into barbecue and into grilling so much that they will subscribe to the show and then they listen to it to fill their day. It makes me incredibly humbled, and I'm proud, and that's why I continue to try and strive and bring you guys great programming, great guests, insightful guests, people that are bringing something strong. You'd notice with my recurring guests, it's something that's always fresh, and they're always kind of bringing something new to the table, and they're kind of out there on the forefront. I don't want people trapped inside of a box that are not outside the box thinkers. I want people that are there to evolve and change with the show, and I think the regular contingent of recurring guests kind of fit that mold, and that's why I have them on the show. And then, of course, we cover the competition aspect. We cover recipes, obviously. We did that last hour. We have accessory makers and grill manufacturers. We try and touch every single portion of the segment that we possibly can in order to bring you the most well-rounded show. And, of course, I have my mindless banter and my mindless opinions on certain things, and I think that's why they pay me the big bucks to go ahead and lay out there. What can I say? I mean, it continues to humble me. So We have the live listenership, like I just told you about. So then the downloads have continued to grow month after month, and I believe at the end of last month, which would be the end of the year of 2010, we were roughly, and I'm still getting people that actually tune in for the first hour over on LA Talk Radio, where the whole live show started before we launched Barbecue Central Radio Networks, which is now almost is just over a year old now. We launched Barbecue Central Radio Networks at the turn of the year in 2010. I'm still accumulating downloads from them. So we combine all of the downloads from iTunes and all the other podcast directories. The show is being downloaded well over 50,000 times a month. And I think that's pretty good for the show. A lot of people out there like barbecue. A lot of people out there like the guests and what the show is about, kind of the angle and the take of the show. And I'll be the first one to sit here and tell you, or people ask me, well, who do you listen to? I would imagine if you listen to talk radio, you could probably pick up on at least 2 or 3 people that I'm not going to say I'm copying, but look, you listen to somebody for year after year after year, and you kind of pick up on a lot of the nuances, and especially me. I mean, I will depict and study things to death to make sure that I'm doing it right, and I like to go ahead and make sure that I'm doing it like people that are successful. So you might hear a lot of terminology that Bubba the Love Spun uses because I'm a big fan of Bubba. You might hear a lot of Jim Rome. Obviously you hear a lot of sound effects, but the direct questioning and some of that straightforward nature. And I like to anyway, what was I saying? I don't know. See, that's what happens. You get caught up in the chat and you just lose your mind. But there's a there's a definitive, I guess, forming of my on-air persona, and that's kind of where that's come from. So the show continues to grow. I'm always in quest for more and more and more. That's right, Scott, mark it out. More and more growth to the show, both in live listenership and both in downloads. And I think with that new Tailgater monthly opportunity that I have coming up here, whenever their next publication is coming out, which I believe is like in the next month or two, hopefully that brings some more exposure to the show. And we all benefit from that. We all gain from that, because more exposure for the show gets us on a bigger stage, and bigger stage is good for just the industry itself, the industry we're trying to grow. A lot of us are in this industry and kind of maybe not making a huge living off of it, but at least getting some type of cash. It's kind of a business and an enjoyment thing. Sometimes it's very hard to do that comfortably, to have that business side and to have that recreational side. But I think a lot of people love that competition. That's why a lot of people love competition, and there you go. So that's kind of what's happening with the show. As far as what I'm looking to do with the show this year, am I looking to get on syndicated regular radio and take over the world for 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday or Sunday? Abso-freaking-lutely. Am I willing to sell the show out in any detail in order to do that? Absolutely not. The show has to maintain the integrity that it has been born with and that it has evolved with. I want to take my regular recurring guests with me if we ever make that jump. And I continue to believe that at some point somebody might hear the show, somebody might stumble across the show or realize that barbecue is not just something that is a fad. It's getting on television, it's getting on cable. I have a distinct feeling that if, perhaps, barbecue was overrun by midgets and parolees and pit bulls, then I would be on radio like crazy right now, because I would have access to all the midgets and parolees and pit bulls that are out there. But there just doesn't seem to be a overabundance of midgets in barbecue, although they're taking over reality television like crazy. Them and pit bulls. Can somebody please explain to me what the thought process is? This is where we start to sidebar a little bit, but can somebody please tell me what the thought process is? When you put small people, we call them midgets where I come from. When you put a midget with a pit bull, have you seen the show on Animal Planet? It's called Pit Boss. the first time I heard about it, I wasn't actually watching it. I was hearing Pit Boss, and I thought Vegas, and it's going to be a show about a bunch of pit bosses in casinos and what they have to deal with every night. And then I finally saw like what it was, and there was a guy that if he was 2 feet, if he was an inch, and he's handling a pit bull. A freaking pit bull that is twice his size, maybe 3 times his size when he's standing on his hind leg, and can easily outweigh this guy by 60 or 70 pounds. And this guy is out saving pit bulls that could easily take this guy out and all of it. But of course, to make it more awkward or weird or whatever it is, this guy's staff. And what's his name? Shorty. That's the guy's name. The guy that owns Pit Boss, Save the Pit Bulls business. His guy's name is Shorty, which is, again, a weird name. I mean, what the hell? And all the people that work for him are midgets. What are we doing? Shorty, go ahead and take the 150-pound pit bull, that has 50 pounds on you, out for a walk. And then what happens when the pit bull decides to make a 180 and take a run at Shorty? Shorty's not going to fare very well when the pit bull decides to take his jaws and latch onto his throat and pull it out with relative ease. That's not going to go well for Shorty. That's not going to go well for your host here behind the microphone, let alone a guy that I have 3 feet on and roughly 125 pounds. The pit bull is going to kill me. The pit bull is going to eat Shorty for lunch and shit him out in 5 minutes, okay? I don't like that show. It gets me very, very scared when little people are handling animals that are 3 times their size. What's the fascination? And then there's the little couple, the littlest couple in the world. Where's the fascination with little people? And I get it. I know one of you guys just said that, let's face it. I think it was Smokin' Ronnie said, let's face it, midgets are funny. I don't know if they're funny, but there's something to look at. I mean, you can't tell me that you're not in there in a grocery store one day, or you're in a department store and you see a midget walk by and, man, your fascination is caught. And you don't want to admit it. You're sitting there and you're like, wow, dude is short. Look at that. I mean, he's got like a regular-sized head, but the body's real short, and how do they drive, and what the hell? And then you have the midgets that are having babies. Man, I never thought that little people would be hitting it as much as they are right now in terms of reality TV success. But really, if you're dating a midget, or if you're a midget and you want to get on television, all you have to do is submit a resume right now, and you can get on like any freaking channel you want, ASAFP, and that's no lie. They are dominating. Between that and parolees with pit bulls, those people are really dominating the reality TV market. I think we need to get more realistic stuff happening. What happened to television that reality TV is overtaking all of this stuff? I don't get it. Oh, boy. Brian, I would rather see more of Betty White. Not more of Betty White, in the carnal sense, but now that's an American treasure right there, is Betty White. She's American treasure. She's very funny. I love her. But yeah, I don't want to see I want to see more of Betty White by any stretch of the imagination. Don't forget, coming up in about 5 minutes from now, we have Randy White, the Manster. He's going to be talking barbecue. He's going to be talking some Super Bowl. In case you didn't know it, God, I hate to say it, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Green Bay Packers are in 2 weeks. Going to be playing the big game. So Randy's going to be sharing a barbecue recipe of his and a number of other things. So we'll be joined by NFL Hall of Famer Randy White here in just a minute. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and race over to the hotline. And let me get this up. Where is this thing, for crying out loud? All right, joining me now is a NFL Hall of Famer, first ballot, by the way, and he is a Super Bowl MVP, a 9-time Pro Bowler, really one of the most feared defensive linemen of his day, and he's joining me now to talk some Super Bowl, to talk some barbecue. First timer to the show, Randy White. Randy, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic, Randy. Thanks for joining me, and I certainly appreciate you making time out for the show. For the people that are joining the show tonight, everybody's very excited because obviously, I mean, for me, internet radio freak out here kind of doing this barbecue and grilling thing, to have somebody that has the career that you've had, you're in the Hall of Fame, a lot of good stuff happening, but all of that aside, here's a guy that's also into barbecue and grilling. So, definitely wanted to hook up with you and see, talk the barbecue with you, talk the football with you. But let's hold football off to the side first, Randy. We'll get to that here in a second. Let's go ahead and let's talk some barbecue here. In your eyes, because there's a lot of audience here that is either really into barbecue and grilling or they're just kind of on the peripheral. In your estimation, kind of give us your definitions of barbecue and then grilling.
Well, I think barbecue is a real personal thing. I have a barbecue restaurant, a couple of them here in one in Dallas and one in Mesquite, Texas. But, I find even a lot of our customers will come in and they love to share their ideas with how they cook their brisket, how they season it. And, the sauce is always a topic of conversation. Everybody, has their own special barbecue sauce. So, down here in Texas, barbecue is really it's a big thing, and people enjoy it, and it's fun for the family, for the get-togethers. They have competitions. I've been to judge at numerous competitions, and it's amazing how you can prepare barbecue in so many different ways, and it always tastes good.
And, of course, you're somebody that's originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, not known for being a barbecue mecca, but as you get down, you're playing NFL down there with Dallas Cowboys, and certainly Texas being one of the four major meccas of barbecue. Were you somebody as growing up and, kind of going through college out there in Maryland, did you get to experience any type of real barbecue, or did you have to get down south before that actually happened?
Well, I can tell you this. I grew up, my father was a butcher, and but back east, I originally from Pennsylvania, grew up in Delaware, and went to school at Maryland. So when I came to Texas, I never had really eaten barbecue the way you think of barbecue in Texas. And when I got here, it was strange to me. And a buddy of mine, Burton Lawless, who was my roommate, was from Florida, from Punta Gorda, Florida. And he was a big barbecue guy. And I was a meat and steak and potatoes guy. And he said, "We got to go eat barbecue. You got to try barbecue." I said, I don't know if I want to try that or not. And anyway, long story short, I ended up going and trying the barbecue, fell in love with the sausage. I'd never tasted anything so good in my life. And then when I found the ribs, I was hooked. And, now, one of my favorite things to eat at the barbecue place is I eat that smoked turkey. We have some of the best smoked turkey, the moistest smoked turkey you ever ate in your life. And, so now I enjoy it all. But, yeah, I was a little hesitant getting into the barbecue scene.
NFL Hall of Famer Randy White joining us here on the show. By the way, you can visit his website, randywhitesbbq.com as well. Obviously, aside from the one that you have, Randy, what are some of the other favorite barbecue joints that you've kind of been around to?
Well, down here there's almost a barbecue joint on every corner.
Right.
And you have your chain barbecues, but when I'm traveling around the state of Texas, I like to bass fish, so I'm traveling around and I get out in some of the rural areas, and some of the best barbecue places, without mentioning their names, are out in the rural areas, and they're just mom and pop operations, and it's a family run business. And you can go in there and you can eat like a king for a very reasonable price. So my best barbecue joints are the ones you find, out in the rural areas that are home cooked in the family run operations. And, that's the way we try to keep our barbecue where we are. We want it to be a personal experience when somebody comes in there. They get a little Texas flair when people come out of town. A lot of people like to bring their place to the barbecue joint because it gives them that Western, we have that Western motif in there, and they really feel like they're getting a piece of Texas. So, there are good barbecue places all over the state of Texas.
Now, when you get outside the restaurant, Randy, if you're just kicking back at home, what do you like to fire up? What's the personal favorite things to kind of grill and barbecue for Randy White?
Oh, I'll grill just about anything. In the summertime, I said I'll put anything on that grill. Steaks, fish, you name it, vegetables. I cook it all out there on my grill. So I'm a big grill guy and enjoy cooking it. And like I said, you can season your own food the way you like it and give it your own little personal twist to it.
Randy White joining us here on the Barbecue Central radio show. Randy, when you got out of football, how long did it take for you to actually look into getting into the restaurant business?
Well, I had been out of football about a year. I retired in 1988, and there was a little place in Frisco, Texas that was about 10 minutes from where I live up in Prosper, and a mom-and-pop operation. And, we talked, and I didn't really want to run a barbecue place on a day-to-day basis. I had too many other things going. So we decided to form a partnership, and it's worked very well. And, I've learned how to cook the barbecue, how to do everything with the barbecue, prepare it, cut it up, serve it to customers. And, it's a fun business to be in. And I always have a good place to go eat. I never go hungry. I don't care what else happens. I'm always have something to eat.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Barbecue always something great to snack on when you're looking for something to eat. And we're joined by Randy White here. Randy, I know you have some big things, some big plans coming up here over the next couple weeks. But I wonder, how does that NFL Hall of Famer like yourself spend his Super Bowl weekend? Because I know you have something going on in Dallas with the good folks over at Tide with Actilift.
Yeah, well, we've created a sandwich there at the barbecue place where it's the messiest, sloppiest, juiciest, best tasting, barbecue sandwich that you could put together. And we did a little couple special twist with it. We have the brisket, we have the Texas toast, and we have the barbecue sauce and the salt and pepper and all the fixings that go with it. But we put some red wine sauce, that red wine reduction sauce, and you put the little chips of brisket or on the sides, you put it in that sauce, reduce it down, and strain it, and you put that on top of the sandwich. And I think we've come up with something that's really, really special that people are going to enjoy. And like you say, doing a promotion with Tide, in conjunction with Tide, we created this. And for all of the people out there listening, for the big game Sunday coming up, you don't want to be worried about stains on your favorite jersey or on your favorite T-shirt. And what you need to do is get some Tide AccuLift, because it helps take out dried stains. It helps take out dry stains. So, that's what we're going to do, a whole turnkey operation there at the barbecue joint. We're going to feed you, show you the game, and then help you clean up when it's all over with the AccuLift.
Yeah, I think one thing that everybody here, no matter what phase of barbecue or grilling that they're in, as far as how deep they are in the subculture, especially when the aprons and stuff, you're constantly wiping your hands on the aprons or on your shirt, and you don't really think about it until after you've eaten. Like you said, man, that stuff dries on, and sometimes that's really hard to get out.
Yeah, the barbecue sauce or the red wine, I tell you what, just Tide AccuLift, it really helps with those dry stains. So, that's another ingredient you need to get for your big day parties.
That's right. You got to get it to clean up after you've sucked it down through your face and put on about 5 or 10 pounds. And we're talking with Randy White.
The goal.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Randy, before we get to talking about the game that's coming up here in a couple weeks, you had an excellent career by every stretch or by any stretch of the imagination, one of the most feared defensive linemen to play the game. As you look back on your playing days, what are some of the best memories that you take away from your days of playing NFL football?
Oh, I have some fabulous memories. Most of the memories are not about games. It's about relationships that I had and the people that I was able to be associated with for the 14 years with the Dallas Cowboys. It was a great experience, and, I've continued those friendships over the years and probably will for the rest of my life. But the highlight of my playing days would have to have been Super Bowl 12. We played the Denver Broncos. We were fortunate enough that day to beat them 27-10, and Harvey Martin and I were chosen to co-MVPs in that game, and it happened to be my birthday that day. It was January 15th, and so that's a pretty special day that I won't ever forget in my athletic career.
Randy, as you're growing up, getting through college and all that stuff, is there a certain point where you realize you have the physical gifts to really go to the next level? And when do you start thinking that, hey, I might have a really good shot at going pro? Because really, when you think about it, you start in high school, there's a huge amount of people playing that way. You get up into college, and the neck kind of starts to tighten up a little bit. And then out of college, it really starts to tighten down to get in that pro level. When did you think you had a really good chance of making it to that pro level?
Well, when I was a kid, I always had a dream. Baseball actually was my favorite sport, but I wanted to play some type of professional sport when I was a kid. Baseball, basketball, football, I didn't care. But football ended up being the route that I took because I got a college scholarship, went to the University of Maryland, and had some great success there on with playing for the Terps. And on a personal level, I had had some success. So, everybody was telling me, hey, you're going to get drafted. You're going to get drafted. And I kept thinking, well, we'll see when it happens. Because, I'd never been one to I always try to stay humble. But, you never really know. It was a dream of mine. And then, the Dallas Cowboys picked me in the 75 draft, picked me the number 2 guy picked. And, I thought I was going to go to the Baltimore Colts at the time, but they traded their pick to Atlanta. Atlanta took Steve Bartkowski, a quarterback, and Dallas had the number 2 pick in the draft that they had gotten for trading Craig Morton to the New York Giants. So I ended up in Dallas, Texas. And, my first couple of years, they tried me at middle linebacker, and it was a little shaky there. And my third year, Coach Landry called me in, and, he moved me into the defensive line. And, from then on, I really felt like I was comfortable playing the game of football again, and and I was able to do it for 14 years, which was very fortunate.
Yeah, 14 years is definitely a long time, regardless of any era of football. We're talking with Randy White, NFL Hall of Famer, Super Bowl co-MVP, and Super Bowl 12 as well. When you got drafted, did you just want to go anywhere and play, or were there certain teams that you had an eye on?
No, I tell you what, when I got drafted, I didn't really care where I went, what team I went to. I just would be thankful to have an opportunity to try to play professional football. And, it couldn't have worked out any better. I got to go play for the Dallas Cowboys and play for Tom Landry, who is, not only a great coach, but he was a great person and a great teacher and a great role model of how you want to live your life, real Christian man. And my personal line coach, Ernie Stautner, who was one of my best friends in the whole world and was my coach. He was, I just was very blessed to have the opportunity to go to Dallas and play football for the Dallas Cowboys.
Randy, when you were playing, obviously you're one of the most feared defensive players in the game, widely known as someone who had this relentless will to win and be that best, whether it be during the season, during the offseason, getting ready. We could probably spend an hour talking about this question alone, but looking back on your days with the Cowboys versus how the NFL is today, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen over the years that have either helped make the game better or perhaps conversely hurt the game?
Well, I don't know whether it's made it better or hurt the game, but, there's been some rule changes. Started near the end of my career when they started allowing the offensive linemen to use their hands more, and guys started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And, now they're implementing some rules in there, which I think are good, where they're actually trying to not take any of the aggressiveness out of the game, but they're trying to cut down on some of the injuries that they have, especially with the quarterbacks and the wide receivers, and even in the line, the way guys can block. They've done some rule changes that, that have, I think, have helped the game in one respect. In another respect, it's taken some of the aggressiveness out of the game. But, you can't have guys getting their necks broke, and with the equipment and the improvement in equipment and the size and the speed and the strength of these guys, I think overall that the changes they made have been good for the game of football and good for the future of the game of football.
You mentioned all the advancements that have been made. Technology has changed. I wonder, Randy, if I were to drop you in your prime right now as a player in the NFL with all the tools available today, do you think that your stats and how you were able to approach the game would be any different, or is somebody that's just out there willing to work hard, it kind of transcends era, it doesn't matter?
I think that's one part of the game of football that will never change. You have to be dedicated. You have to have a passion to play the game. You have to be willing to make sacrifices to be good at what you do. That part of the game will never change. They can change the rules, but, the game of football, even the big game coming up on the Super Bowl, you watch the interior line, and the team that wins that battle in the interior line, more than not, is going to end up winning the football game. So, it's still blocking and tackling aggressiveness and guys that are just relentless and just don't accept losing and just fight to the very end. That part of football won't ever change.
Who are some of the favorite guys that you liked going up against, for those 14 years?
Oh, well, I played against some great players, had some great battles. I used to play against John Hanna from time to time when he was in New England. Mike Webster, a center from Pittsburgh. Mike was a tough center. He was one of the few guys that I felt like I just couldn't grab a hold of and sling around when I wanted to. But, those are two great ones. And, they were all good. I mean, in the NFC East, I played against guys year in and year out. And, Russ Grimm, one guy from the Redskins that ended up being he's a Hall of Fame football player. He was a great lineman. But they were all tough. I mean, and especially in the NFC, teams you knew and they knew you, and you played them year in and year out. Boy, we had some great battles over the years, and but that's what makes football fun. I mean, that's the challenge, and if you have some success and you're considered one of the best out there, every week you have to be on the top of your game because that other guy's trying to make a reputation for himself too, and the best way to do it is to beat you. So. That's the game. I mean, and that's what you have to enjoy. You have to enjoy that challenge every week. You have to enjoy that competition. You have to enjoy the winning part of it. When you lose, a part of you got to die. When you lose, you can't be happy. Nothing about you can feel good if you lose. You just gotta want to win in the with everything that you're about. So, that's the game of football for me.
NFL Hall of Famer Randy White joining us here on the Barbecue Central radio show. Randy, before we actually get into your breakdown of Steelers and Packers coming up here in a couple weeks, I wanted to get your take. It seems there's been a huge buzz the last couple days about the Bears and Packers game that took place this Sunday. Jay Cutler has been getting murdered by the media, especially from a lot of his contemporaries, saying that he needed to be out on the field. Nobody really knew. I mean, I don't know. I mean, is it fair to pile on somebody like Jay Cutler like this when none of us really knew the extent of his injury at that point? Or perhaps is this just kind of a sign of the times? Social media is available, and it can either help you or kill you, and it's pretty much in the hands of anybody who wants it.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. They got a week here where there's not a whole lot happening, so their media needs something to talk about, and Cutler just happened to be the subject that they picked. And, nobody knows but Jay Cutler whether he could have played or not played, but he's a competitor. He's fought all year to get to the game, play for the NFC Championship game, to get an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. I can't see any reason in this world that he would have taken himself out of the game had he not been able to perform at a top level. And, if you're a player, I missed one game in 14 years, and I missed that game because I had a broken bone in my foot, and we played on Sunday, and we had to turn around and play again on Thursday for Thanksgiving Day. And I got out there on that field, and I could have went out there and I could have played, but I would have hurt my team by being out there because I wouldn't have been able to do the job that I needed to do. But, if I could have wanted to show them how tough I was and go out there and play hurt, which I did a lot of times, but this particular injury, I just couldn't get over it in 3 days. So, I'm sure that's the case with Jay Cutler. If he would have went out there on a hobbly leg and performed terribly, and then they'd be getting on to him for not taking himself out of the game, and they've been on the coach for not taking him out of the game. So I think this is just a unfortunate circumstance for him because there ain't nobody feels worse than being out of that football game than Jay Cutler.
Randy White breaking it down for us here. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the game. I mean, this is like the worst part of the football season for me is the lull 2 weeks in between this past weekend and then into the Super Bowl. So as we take each team, we'll go ahead and start with the Packers. They had Brett Favre forever. They moved Aaron Rodgers in. It's taken him a couple years to really get a hold of the reins, but he's really flourished here over the last couple years, and I think he brings a unique dynamic to that team, plus a very good defense. What are you seeing with the Packers, and what do you like about them?
Well, Aaron Rodgers has had a great year. The year he's had is a big part of why the Green Bay Packers are in that Super Bowl, and I think he's evolved as a leader of that football team. And he's going to be one of the keys. If Green Bay is going to win this football game, he's going to have a great game. And then you talk about Green Bay's defense. These guys have been kind of looked over a little bit this year, and they're maybe a little bit underrated, and people really haven't given them the credit that they should have been due because, they just didn't believe that they were that good. But, you look at Clay Matthews in there, you look at, he's as good a pass rusher as there is in the league, and you look at that defense, I tell you, Green Bay has got an excellent chance in this football game if they can perform well, but like I said, Aaron Rodgers, he's got a tough day against him because I don't think there's a better defense in football than the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. And, I think, they're going to be able to pressure him. They'll be able to stop the run. They'll be able to stop Starks. Starks, their running back, has really blossomed here in these playoffs and really, really done a great job. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have to stop him right off the bat. And then I think they have the defense that can put pressure on Aaron Rodgers. And one of his strong points is his ability to scramble with the football.
Right.
But they have so much speed at that linebacker spots they have, at all four of them, I think that they're going to be able to take that part of his game away. And so I think that edge goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, when you look at Pittsburgh's offense, with Ben Roethlisberger and the group they have, they're not pretty. I mean, if you look at them, they're not glamorous. They're just not. But what do they do year in and year out? I mean, they win football games, and they play well in big games. I mean, they're playing to be in the most Super Bowls. What's Ben playing for his third Super Bowl victory this time around? He's never been the most valuable player. He's not the player of the year in the NFL, but his team wins Super Bowls. And I think that's one of the key things right there is Tomlin has really got them playing as a team. And, in my opinion, I think the edge is going to go to Pittsburgh in this game just because, and think about this factor, Green Bay, Cinderella type year, is their highlight going to be getting to the Super Bowl, or is their highlight going to be getting to the Super Bowl and winning? And having not had the experience of playing in the Super Bowl and having these 2 weeks and getting all the media attention they're going to get and all the distractions, is that going to hurt their preparation? Pittsburgh's been there. They've done it. They know how to handle it. So, that's going to be something we need to watch leading up this football game. The Green Bay Packers get distracted during this Super Bowl week and get tied up in all the hoopla, or are they able to stay focused, stick to what they do, and go out there and play a good football game?
Randy White joining us here on the Barbecue Central radio show. A little more NFL Barbecue Central radio show than the barbecue stuff, but always great to talk football with somebody that's been there and done it. As you look over how Pittsburgh's season has evolved, you had Ben Roethlisberger suspended for the first 4 games. I don't know if a lot of people really gave them a chance to be where they're at now, but seeing Ben take the reins back over in game number 5, progressing them out here now on the doorstep of another Super Bowl victory. Do you think Ben is going to potentially, you brought up Green Bay kind of getting lost in it, do you think Ben is going to be in a bad position here over the next week or so? I would imagine every reporter is going to start rehashing what happened in the offseason. Is he in a potential pitfall situation with that?
Well, we're going to have to see. If that is surely going to come up, I'm sure that's going to be something that comes up here in the next 2 weeks. But I think Ben is smart enough, and I think he's been there before. He knows what to do in the Super Bowl. I don't think that he will allow any of that to distract him. That's behind him. That's the past. He's moved on. When you hear the comments about his teammates and things, he's a better leader on that team, more fun to be around. So, he's got his team pulling for him too. So I really don't believe that that'll be a big distraction for Ben. I think he'll just let that roll off of him. He knows it's coming. He'll know how to deal with it and stay focused on the football game.
All right, so according to Randy White, we have the Steelers getting the edge, and you think they're going to be pulling it out here when it's all said and done?
Well, right now, unless somebody gets hurt or they have some injuries or something unexpected comes up, I think I'd give the edge to the Steelers right now because of their defense.
All right, and of course, we have the messiest, best-tasting barbecue sandwich with Tide Actilift to keep in your back pocket, too, when the barbecue sauce dries and the game is over and you wake up from your drunk barbecue stupor. You got to be using that to take care of all of that stuff. Randy, give me your website again in case people want to check you out when they're down in Texas and whatever else you got going on.
Well, we got the recipe for that sandwich if somebody wants to try it out. It's randywhitebbq.com.
randywhitebbq.com is the website, so we'll go ahead and put a link on the website for that. Send people over your way. And, of course, if people are going to make it, we're going to have them snap pictures, and I'll get them sent out to Jesse Davis's way. We'll have you take a look and see who you think did the best for the messiest barbecue sandwich. But certainly appreciate you taking time out, Randy, to join us here on the show, and continued success.
Yeah, and anybody out there that's around on February 3rd, come on down there around lunchtime, and we're going to have a promotion where you can try out these sandwiches. So if you can find Randy White's Barbecue in Frisco, come on out and see us February 3rd.
All right, Randy, I appreciate you joining me tonight.
Oh, I appreciate you.
All right, take care.
Fun.
All right, there he is, Randy White. You freaking need an NFL Hall of Famer. Wow. That was pretty cool. Got to say so in a very selfish way. That was really cool. Never actually talked football with a NFL Hall of Famer, and it kind of makes me realize the lack of football knowledge that I have. And you run the fine line, right? You run the fine line between doing the barbecue thing and taking advantage of NFL expertise and pretending like I'm a sports talk show host for 20 minutes as well. I don't know. But I thought he had some really good insight. I happen to agree with him with the Pittsburgh Steelers, although, man, I don't know. It really depends on how well Pittsburgh's defense is going to be able to contain Aaron Rodgers. And he's right. The Pittsburgh Steelers linebackers, especially Harrison and Ferryman, those dudes hit like crazy. They hit like crazy. So Aaron Rodgers getting outside the pocket and decided to break a play loose could be in it if he's not watching his front, back, and sides, because he could be demolished at a moment's notice. And great comments racing in from Randy White's appearance as well. Glad you guys enjoyed that. Don't know if any of you are down there near Texas. I know Smokin' Ronnie is. So go ahead and check him out, as he said, down there on February 3rd. Take part in that. Give me some pictures. Make the sandwich. I have the recipe that I'm going to be posting on the Barbecue Central forum. So check it out. If you make it, take a picture. We'll forward it down to the right people, and you can let them know that people are out there trying to sandwich the messiest, bestest, whatever. What a great guy. Randy White. Maybe I have him on again beginning of next season. We can get his thoughts on how that season's going to break down. NFL Hall of Famer. If you need him, that's an NFL Hall of Famer. Yeah, I've said it 25 times. I don't care. It's NFL Hall of Famer, Randy White. Tom Landry, for crying out loud. Where's Tony Dorsett? Where's Danny White? Drew Pearson. Where are you at, Drew Pearson? Where's Ed Too Tall Jones? Can I get some of that? There you go. Second hour wrapped. We'll be back next Tuesday. Robin Medlin, the grill girl, going to try and line her up. Plus a bunch of other great guests. This is how we do it every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, no, Don G, this is not the Royal Caribbean theme song. Go ahead and search Iggy Pop, Lust for Life, Don. Iggy Pop, Lust for Life. Get the whole song. It's like 5 minutes. It's one of the best songs ever. Iggy Pop, Lust for Life. I just have it in a loop. All right, vocalists, thanks for watching tonight. Everybody on the BCRN, thanks for listening and streaming the audio. And until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is your proud host. What am I saying? This is your host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.